The Horus Heresy was the largest and greatest civil war in Imperial history. Much death and destruction followed within the wake of the Horus Heresy, including the scouring and outright slaughter of many worlds such as Calth and Prospero, the decimation of several loyalist legions such as the Raven Guard and Salamanders, along with the deaths of 4 of the Primarchs, Ferrus Manus at the hands of Fulgrim, Alpharius, whose identity would be taken up by his twin brother Omegon at the hands of Rogel Dawn, Sanguinius at the hands of Horus, and Horus being all but destroyed by the Emperor of Mankind, although not before mortally wounding the Master of Mankind in return. Following the death of the arch-traitor Horus, the traitor legions were shattered and driven into the warp, with the exception of the Night Lords and Alpha Legions, who continued to plague Imperial space for many years to come. The Codex Astartes, written by Roboute Guilliman, designed to limit the power of those in command of Space Marines, so that an event such as the Horus Heresy could never happen again. The Loyalist Primarchs soon gradually began to disappear one by one, vanishing into the unknown or becoming mortally wounded only to arise 10,000 years later. As for the remaining traitor Primarchs, Conrad Kurz would be assassinated by the Kalidas assassin Meshen, while Alpharius, in reality his twin brother Omegon, would allegedly be killed by Roboute Guilliman. The remaining traitor Primarchs would ascend to demonhood and rule over worlds within the Eye of Terror. The Imperium itself would gradually descend into decay and stagnation, as technological advance all but halted completely, and the Emperor's own imperial truth of science, logic and reason would be replaced with religious fanaticism and superstition. Indeed, when Roboute Guilliman himself would be resurrected with the aid of the Eldar warrior Yvraine and the Archmagos Dominus of the Adeptus Mechanicus Belisarius Cawl, Guilliman himself responded to the current state of the Imperium with the following quote:
"Look what they've made of our dream. This bloated, rotting carcass of an empire is driven not by reason and hope, but by fear, hate, and ignorance. Better that we had all burned in the fires of Horus's ambition than lived to see this."
It initially appears that the result of the Horus Heresy was a Pyrrhic victory for the Loyalist forces. But could this outcome be the one that the Chaos Gods themselves desired? Prior to the onset of the Horus Heresy, the twin Primarchs Alpharius and Omegon were reached out to by the enigmatic Xenos organization known as the Cabal. The Cabal comprised of many different Xenos species, including the Eldar and Drahendra, and claim that they have battled the forces of Chaos, which they themselves called the Primordial Annihilator, for longer than humanity itself has existed. Having studied the growth and progress of the Primarchs over the course of several decades, the Cabal eventually determined that the most important of them were the oldest and the youngest, in reference to Horus being the first Primarch to be rediscovered by the Emperor, and Alpharius being the last. With their psychic foresight, they predicted that Horus would ignite a galactic-level civil war after falling to the temptations of the Dark Gods, and claimed that Alpharius and Omegon were the key to the salvation of the galaxy. Although the Horus Heresy itself was unavoidable, the Alpha Legion itself would be the one to direct it to one of 2 potential outcomes. If the Loyalist forces won the Horus Heresy, then the Emperor would give his very life to kill Horus, and as a result become interred forever inside the Golden Throne in a state of undeath. This outcome would also lead to stagnation and decay, which would over time accelerate, the consequence of which would be allowing the Chaos Powers to continue to grow and spread their influence, until after 10 to 20,000 years of misery and untold suffering, the entire galaxy would be consumed by chaos. However, if Horus won, then after the heresy, a minute shard of the honourable man he once was would begin eating at him, and over time would end up fueling a self-destructive sense of self-hatred and loathing that would see Horus fall upon his subjects with such rage and fury that it would surpass the violence of the Horus Heresy, creating civil strife and infighting amongst the traitor legions and forces of those loyal to the Dark Gods. This in turn would culminate in a final Armageddon, resulting in the human species becoming extinct. However, as the powers of Chaos would have become so heavily ingrained and invested in humanity, they too would be snuffed out from existence along with humanity. As we can see by the Cabal's predictions, as the Loyalists have won the Horus Heresy, the Imperium itself has stagnated and decayed, while the forces of Chaos have only grown stronger and stronger. Indeed, it appears that Horus himself was blessed only by the ruinous powers to serve in effect as a sacrificial lamb, to ensure that Chaos would reign supreme and would be doomed to ultimately lose, although only barely. In fact, the current War Master of Chaos himself, Abaddon the Despoiler, claims that Horus was a pawn of the Chaos Gods, and as such has vowed to never let the same fate befall him. The current outcome of the Horus Heresy is also beneficial to the Chaos Gods, as the Imperium itself is currently fueled by superstition, hatred, fear, and ignorance, fueling the ruinous powers with all the negative emotions exemplified by humanity being utilised to help aid in their growth and overall prosperity. Ultimately, it seems that despite Horus being killed and the traitor legions being forced to hide within the Eye of Terror, with the Emperor trapped within the confines of the Golden Throne, powerless to stop them, and with humanity's current paranoid, superstitious state of mind, ultimately, in the long run, the Chaos Gods have won the war. Thanks for watching.